At the beginning of 2025, I was hired as a sales and marketing manager at a local print shop. These guys have been in business for 50 years. They did vehicle wraps, print materials, signs. I knew marketing pretty well, but I was going to find out that I was blind to a huge problem that's absolutely everywhere. In my very first week, I asked them for the client list. After they read through manuals and watched some YouTube videos, they pulled data from their old CRM. What I was going after seemed pretty simple. Just find prospects to call who we have a history with. Because I'd been hired to turn around their slow sales, if I couldn't make it happen, it meant that I wasn't the marketing expert that I thought I was, and I was not really that good at sales either. Needless to say, I really locked into this list. While I was looking at these 1,300 businesses, I was trying to see who was worth calling, obviously, because that's a big list. And I kept on running into the exact same problem over and over again. I couldn't tell the difference between businesses that had actually really closed and businesses that just look closed from an online perspective. And what was worse about that is when prospects were going to look up the company I worked for online, the print shop I worked for looked just as abandoned online. 0 Google business posts, old reviews, no social media presence. How could I generate new business when we look closed online ourselves? It'd be really hard. It was a Thursday morning. I'm staring at my screen, looking at digital storefronts that are closed. And I had to tell, is this a problem that I'm just looking at because it's on this old list, or is this anywhere else? I looked at businesses that weren't on the list. I went to Google Maps into the areas where I'd go B2B in person, clicked on a business, and even though they were on Google Maps, many of them still looked like they were closed online, just like I saw on the list. And I determined through data that this problem affects about 85% of local service businesses because that's who I was targeting. And it's like a light went off in my head that every business has 2 storefronts. They have their physical location and their digital one. And you can see that some businesses, in fact, a lot of them, are keeping their physical doors open and everything looking good, but letting their digital storefronts looking terrible. I found a big hidden opportunity in local business marketing. And that's just because if I couldn't tell they were open, people searching for their services wouldn't be able to tell either. And because it was my job to call businesses and offer them marketing services, I created a scoring system in Notion in a database to help me literally filter them. The scoring system came down to what I would call 4 signs of life every business needs. Recent reviews in the last week or 2, fresh media, that'd be photos and videos, regular posts again weekly, and engagement. So that means if there's reviews, they're replying to them. If there's comments, they're replying to them, and there's likes on their posts. I knew that my day job showed me a problem that could be solved during my off time. And that's the time I used to work out a system to resurrect these virtual storefronts and giving them the 4 signs of life that they need every single week to make sure their phone was going to ring. Now, I had experience doing the work it would take to get this done because prior to this job, I ran a team that could create content quickly at scale. After I pieced together this system, the first place I tested it was with a solar company. The problem they had is that they were losing 60 to 70% of their scheduled appointments. They would book 10 and 7 would cancel, something like that. And again, if this plan didn't work, I'm just another marketer making promises that don't happen. 2 weeks after implementing the system, I was having second thoughts big time, especially because the owner came and said, "Hey, when are we going to see results?" Then the breakthrough about a week or 2 after that, their appointment show-up rate went up. Now, ultimately, it climbed from 30% to 70%. It flipped. But the best part was the first few weeks when sales reps were getting more appointments that they could walk into. And many of those appointments, they told me, the homeowners had a lot more confidence in them before they ever walked in the door. And obviously sales went up. And of course, I did it at the print shop where I work. After 4 weeks of reopening that digital storefront, a power company found us online. And I landed a 47 vehicle wrap deal. That was a pretty good payday for the company and not a bad commission either. At another local service company, I implemented it there. Within 3 days, they got a request for quote, and the guy said he found them on Google Maps. And it just kept on getting better from there. So after these tests, I had proved this digital storefront concept works. Businesses can get new revenue by looking alive and engaged online. You have to work on the Google business profile first and the social media second. They go hand in hand, they work together. And it's pretty easy to do both at the same time. So those results are awesome. But for me, I went from being just another marketing guy to an expert who can diagnose a hidden problem very confidently. And it's one of these problems that cost businesses lost opportunities. What are those opportunities worth in dollar amounts? That math could actually be huge. In talking to a lot of business owners, I came to find out they're pretty blind to how people see them online. They think that having a website and some store signage and vehicle wraps is enough. Granted, they have a good point. They're in business, so you got to give them that. But what if you could multiply your business with very minimal effort in a ridiculously minimal amount of time? If you're just relying on your physical store signage, your website, vehicle wraps, whatever you got going around, imagine now if you had 2 locations, more signs, and more vehicles driving around town. Because you're not competing with all the businesses online in your city. You're competing with the ones that come up in a search for your type of business in your geographical area. The secret is just outdoing your competition.